voicing your concerns, opinions, solutions. That's why we're here tonight, is to hear from you. And as you can tell, we have a pretty good agenda here. We got a lot of things to cover, and our hopes is that we can do it in a timely manner, obviously. Today, we turned back on the clock. You know, in the event it starts rolling a little bit more, we'll have to put the brakes on a little bit to go to the next one. So, once again, you know, if there's something we get to and you felt like you needed to say something and didn't, you know, my email address is at the bottom down here on any one of these agendas, and obviously you can call the office anytime, because we want to hear from you. That's what we're here to do. So if something happens tonight that you're not able to say something, or after we leave you think of something you should have said, by all means give us a call, because we want to try to get these as right as we possibly can before we do move forward. So that being said, we'll move into the new business, and number 2 on that new business is our land development ordinance. And Miss Woody is here we've handed out, did we have some more of these, or it was on the internet?
It's on our website.
Okay. So
most of you know, we have 12 to cover tonight, so we just gonna have a pretty full hour. Mr. Anderson?
That's correct. That's correct. So if you hadn't had a chance to see it, it is on our website. I would urge you to please look at those proposed changes, and if there's something that we missed or something you feel like we need to add, send it to us. So with that being said, we'll open to the floor. If you would, please come up and tell us who you are and what part of the county. I don't want your address, but tell us what part of the county you're from, and we'll start taking notes. So anyone wants to come up, raise your hand and come, please do so. And this will be for the first one is that land development ordinance.
Is this a first hearing?
This is the first hearing, yes, sir.
Can you just explain your process, please?
Yeah, so, you know, our process and where we come to be today.
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're saying?
The whole
Okay.
process.
So, you know, back several years ago, 3 now to be exact, we decided we would take a look at our ordinances to see if there needed to be any updating, any change in verbiage, because as we know, as time moves on, you know, even state laws change, things like that. So we want to try to be as current as we possibly can with the times that are here. So that's exactly how it came to be. We developed a planning commission, as you may or may not know, and those folks in our planning commission spent a lot of time looking over this and trying to get it as close to being right tonight for you to view. And that's why we're here, is to get your input on what we have put on paper. So it's kind of a summary of the process. But that's
what happens
how
after that? After people had a chance to look at it, what's the next?
The next step is we take your input. We see if it works, obviously according with our laws, you know, our state laws and things like that. If it works for us, we try to get it to where we can put it in our ordinance to adopt it. And if you bring up something that says, hey, that don't work and here's why, we go back to the planning commission and we sit down, and at the second hearing, we have that revised and we put it out there once again, okay? And at the second hearing, if we feel it's adoptable at that time, we will vote on it that night to adopt it at the second hearing. If we don't feel that if we feel we still need some work on it, we will table that for adoption until we have it in a better sense. So that's kind of the final on that one. So that help you out?
Yes, sir.
We'll have another meeting like this.
Pardon me?
We'll have another meeting,
I hope so.
We would.
with our next meeting, okay? Which will be, what?
We're required to
13th of
hold,
February.
we're required to hold 2 public hearings on every ordinance before they're adopted or changed.
If I can ask one more question?
Sure.
So these are a result of your planning commission, this draft here,
They are in each department that involves.
but no public interaction yet?
Not yet. That's why we're here tonight, to have that public interaction.
Just once? And then we
Twice.
vote the second time.
Twice.
Two.
And once again, if we feel like everything is right for adoption on the second, we will. And if it's not, we will table that until we work on it some more, and then we will adopt it. Okay?
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So now, anyone want to come up, and if you got something? Mr. Bishop?
Well, my name's Wayne Bishop, I'm a local surveyor here, along with several others. I just received a phone call here about an hour ago from a couple of surveyors that they're concerned about several things that's in this ordinance.
Mhm.
And I've not had a chance to get with Marie and go over this, but I would like your permission to, get with her, and since this is just the first hearing, and go over a couple of concerns that we have, and I won't go into them right now, but I would say there are a couple of concerns we do have that we think that, you would need to address and possibly revise.
Absolutely.
I'd just like to go on record, to put that on record.
You got it, I don't think Ms. Woody will have an issue at all with that, so, thank you. Anyone else?
When did y'all put this out?
Where's
First
this
draft?
on our website?
That, the week that we ran it in the paper,
Just
Is-
what date was that?
the last Tuesday, yeah, the 10th.
I apologize, I'm just now seeing it.
Yeah,
and
it's posted on the website,
Well, that's what it is.
yeah.
That's great,
And the
but it's a lot,
drafts,
it's a lot to
the drafts are
consider.
not in the paper, just the website,
Right.
so.
Well, it's a lot to consider.
It is, it is. This first one here, I'm looking at it now, 84 pages,
Yeah.
just for the land ordinance, land development.
And it's not anything that has been created overnight, and it's not anything that the planning commission said, here, I'm gonna look up into the blue sky and come up with something. There's 159 Georgia counties, and we were able to, the planning commission had access to what all 158 other counties have. And then there's things like, we have very little county sewer. Well, the county has zero sewer, zero. But there's very little municipal sewer. So the health department has requirements that they have implemented for lot size and grading. And some of that is not within the control of the county. Those are state regulations that have, they say, if you are X, then you have to do Y. And so those have been incorporated. And so I know that it's a lot, because I know these good folks have been working on it a long time.
But this is the first public hearing
Correct.
of what the good
Yes.
folks have been working on a long time.
Yes, and it was discussed at the December meeting. I know at the first meeting of December that this would be the first public hearing.
And y'all are mindful all of this costs ultimately the taxpayer and the private individual building these homes. Y'all are mindful of that, right?
Okay, or have you looked at you, in your own admittance, you haven't looked at it
No,
yet, so you really don't know
I've been
what's
looking.
in there, so
I've been
we
looking.
don't know what it's costing or not, so. I'm just saying, you know,
And it's like.
All changes
you know,
cost money.
We've got,
you're right, it
We've
does,
got-
all of them do.
we've got
Understand
trout
that.
streams. We don't set what constitutes a trout stream. The
I understand, it's
state
set by the
does.
state, I got that.
And so then we have to be so many feet away from it.
Which has always been the case.
No, it ain't always been the case. It's come into being since Marie and I've been doing this.
Well, since 2002, since I've been here, it's been the case.
Some of the existing ordinance that we had, when we go on the website, the highlighted sections, is that the only parts of those that changed, or is there other things that might have changed in there too?
That's, the highlighted part, as Woody just indicated, the highlighted part is the change, or the proposed change,
Thank you.
so. Anyone else on the land development ordinance? quick as you can. Get back with us as quick as you can, that way the second meeting, we can dive right into it again, okay? All right, so the next one is, building and electrical ordinance. And we have Mr. Nicholson here, also, for that one. So is there anyone that would like to, come up and talk about that?
Mr. Nicholson, since you're here, do you have anything to say about that?
The biggest part of what we have done in changes in this ordinance is I just bring it up to the state standards. I think our old ordinance said we went under the Southern Building Code, which that's pretty much defunct. Everything now is International Building Code. That's what the Department of Community Affairs goes by. And that's what we're trying to make, just what the Department of Community Affairs does. Few things we changed, some language to make it just clearer, easier to understand, so.
So in there, a lot of the things talk about if you do a renovation, if it increases the property value or the, structural value of 50% or more, that it engages a lot of other.
You have to bring the whole house up to code.
Who determines and how is it determined that value that it was and the value that it will be? Who does that and how?
That would actually be an appraiser that would do something like that.
So you're requiring them to get an appraisal then?
If there's, came into the big questions, if you buy a piece of property at $50,000, you remodel it and you're gonna sell it for $100,000, well, right there, you increased it more than 50%.
What if I'm not selling it? I'm just, I have a piece of property, I bought it several years ago, now I'm gonna do a renovation to it. What is it when I paid for it? Is it a current evaluation of what the structure's worth, or is it, how is that determined? And who decides that come into play to require a appraiser or?
A lot of it, what we go by is, if you buy a house and you're remodeling, if you strip that house, you take out all the sheetrock down to the studs, you're moving walls, yeah, you're gonna go over 50%.
I think her question though is, what she's asking is what enforcement is there gonna be? Like, how does a normal individual know if it's gonna increase that? Who do they contact that's gonna determine that fair market value that it's increased to know if they need to do that or not, correct? Yeah, I think that's the question.
Also, Nathan, probably what she wants to ask too is what are they determining as a starting value?
True, I
Would
assume
that
it would
be
be
the
the
price
acquired value,
they
the purchase
pay?
price, or the fair market value, the
Right.
tax value.
Right.
Yeah. So what is that process? What does somebody do?
So is it the appraised value of the property on the tax assessors? Is it what was paid for it many years ago? Is it the current value? How is that determined?
With the honor system, people aren't gonna be honest about it. It's based upon the homeowner trying to determine it.
Would they go on the sale of the property?
What if they bought it 5 years ago and they're just remodeling? Is it based upon either the tax value or then they're gonna have, I would assume that's what. it would
Well,
have
if you
to be
bought the
based on.
property for $50,000, you sold it for $250.
But what if you kept it for 5 years, in the 5th year you remodeled it?
Well, that's what I'm
It's a
saying
great
though.
question. I mean, it's a
But
good- very good
what I'm
question. I
saying though
wouldn't
is
have thought that.
this, if you bought that house for say $100,000,
Yeah,
and so you've been paying taxes, your taxes for those 5 years at $100,000.
right.
It's based on that
So you're saying it's
100,000.
based upon the tax
But
value?
if you turn around and sold that house for $400,000, what is the fair?
But you remodeled it before you sold it.
True, I know, but you have to come and get your permits,
Lynn,
correct?
what do you suggest? Linda Austin, what do you suggest?
Well, we were just out here having a sidebar about it. It's kind of like the IRS tells us to report our taxes, and if we don't, we get caught. That's when the penalty comes in. But nobody's coming around looking at everybody in this room's tax returns. So everybody that has property, you get your assessment notice. The law says that's your fair market value for the purpose of determining taxes. Properties are reevaluated on a schedule, it's about every 3 years. So, I go out and I buy a house for $100,000. And here's my house, I've got pictures and they know what my footprint is, and they come back out and they reassess. And it's clear that I no longer have a 1,500 square foot house, I now have a 3,000 square foot house. Well, it's real simple to go and see, did anybody get a permit? Well, no, nobody got a permit.
And I agree 100% with that, but if somebody doesn't go out right before they remodel and apply for the permit, you're not gonna know what it was at that point. So still, to her questions, it's still unclear.
How do
Is
you
it the
know?
honor system? You know what I'm saying?
No, it's
How do you know
Typically,
if they changed?
here's
if
the
they
way I
didn't
would
change-
look at it.
What if they didn't change the square footage?
Well, it's still,
But
it goes
they-
by how much you are remodeling. Like I say, if you gutted the house, and I go in there and I see that it's been gutted during the inspection, you're gonna call me to come do a rough-in inspection. I'll tell you what you need to do there.
So it's based on pretty much based on their inspection of it, it sounds like it, right?
That's what I would believe, because it's,
But
So
how
then-
do you determine that value? Because if it's gutted, and like, how much was it worth before it was gutted? And how much is it gonna be worth once it's finished? How do you determine that was a 50%?
Right, because you would
increase in
have to
the
have a
structure.
set start point to be able to determine that.
right. Now, we're trying to avoid, I'm just telling you, we're trying to avoid adding a lot of cost to it.
Right.
If you want us to throw it in there that you must have an appraisal before and afterward, we can do that, but I don't think anybody wants
No,
that.
I agree with you, I don't think
But
so.
here's what we're missing. House is worth X dollars, land is worth X dollars. You're not gonna be paying for a building permit on land.
I mean, I agree with what y'all are trying to do, I do think it needs to be outlined, because it could be a nightmare for y'all if not.
Definitely.
That's one of
I hadn't even thought about it until
Yeah.
it's a great question, I
That
hadn't
is a
thought
great
of that.
question.
And you know, the thing of it is, if, say, I'm just gonna pick on Wesley. So Wesley buys a house for $50,000, and he does $150,000 worth of work on it, but he doesn't tell anybody.
That would
And he
never-
doesn't do.
That would never happen.
And he doesn't do anything to report it correctly, and he goes to sell it, he gets to pay Uncle Sam capital gains on 50,000. It's now selling it for 400,000, but there's 350,000 that I don't get to take off anything, cause I didn't tell anybody that I improved my house. Well, going and having done it right is gonna save you that 23% on the end. And to tell you, is there not gonna be somebody that cheats the system? Of course there is.
But the county's not gonna make any money off of it, they're not gonna get the benefit of it, I mean, and most normal people honestly are not gonna think about that, when they're just trying to save money at the time, I mean, that's just the honest truth.
And it, also when you buy it, you're buying the house and the land. And according to the ordinance, it is if the increase on the structure is 50%.
Wouldn't it be based on square footage?
Well, but that's a
Well,
total,
now-
that's a total assessment of the
Because
total value
sometimes
of
you
fair
make
market
it
value,
just
which includes the land and the house.
Remodel. When you're remodeling, if all you're doing is a cosmetic type remodel, you're safe. If you have gutted the house, you're having to rewire it, replumb it, yeah, you're gonna go over that 50%.
Shouldn't it just say based upon the building inspector's, based on the building inspector's valuation of it though, then let y'all determine that? Then say in a percentage?
And
I
then
don't know
if
that I
they-
like that, Nathan.
Well, but I'm saying otherwise, there's gonna be no enforcement being able to
If
be.
you want to challenge, like what Nathan's saying, I'm fine with that. Then if you want to challenge, we can go before the Board of Appeals.
If you're redoing a house, isn't that still based off of square footage? So if you are doing more than 50% of the square footage affected, wouldn't that be your?
No, you're based on
When it's
the,
I don't know, no.
increasing it 50% is the value. If you increase the value of a place more than 50%, you are supposed to bring it up to, everything up to code.
And that's
That
according to who?
includes the septic.
That's according to the Department of Community Affairs, that's state.
So does that include separate?
Okay. So, we've
As far
come
as
up,
bedroom.
we've come up with, some questions that need to be addressed, obviously, before
Lots
the
of
next.
details.
So, I do have some notes, we made some notes that we do need to address this. Ma'am, if you don't mind, can I get your name just for, just for my notes, I'm sorry.
See where your taxes are tomorrow.
You don't have to give me your address.
I'm Becky McMinn.
Okay,
Good questions, though, I gotta agree with those.
and where's your address? No, I'm just kidding. All right, so we've got some good, questions that we need to try and resolve before the next meeting, so that's why we have these, so we're thankful for that. So, anybody else on this before we move on to the next? And again, email me, call me, we'll try to figure this out, okay? All right, so the next one is the driveway ordinance. Does anybody have any concerns or comments, solutions, anything on the driveway ordinance that is proposed?
I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you've had the property back since the eighties and you already had like certain tracks on it that was supposed to be family member tracks, and that driveway currently has 2 houses off of that driveway, but could later have, and it's the only way in and out, and there's no other way except that driveway, would that be an exception?
Good question.
I'm not following you.
So,
So there's 2 houses there.
okay, so, all right, so we have, over 40 acres, and, it was my family's land since the eighties. And, it was actually so that our family would all build up there eventually. So we have several different tracks already marked out by 5-acre tracks across that 40 acres. We already have 2 houses. This literally was an old logging road, and so it went up the side of the mountain, and there's 2 houses that it is off of that road right now. And could possibly eventually have a couple more houses, but there is no other way in or out. This is the only way up and up to the top of the mountain and to those other parcels. So the question is, would that be like grandfathered in?
Can you use the same driveway if you're making more parcels?
Yes, you can use the same driveway, but once you get 3 houses, that becomes a road and you have to name it a road.
Wow.
Yeah,
'Cause
you-
that's
I would
This is a
suggest you
little
go ahead and name the road.
And have a formal easement even put into it, wouldn't that?
This is a little bit more complicated, because back in 2005, a subdivision came on the other side and took half of our driveway, and we had to kind of fight with them a bit and get easements from them all the way, because the developer just did a bad thing and went across the road and took our entire driveway. Or, well, not the entire, took a portion of it. We share it not only with our 2 family members, but we share it with a portion of it with a whole subdivision, or a portion of the subdivision. It's a
And Marie,
mess.
Marie, would it matter if there was a formal easement already filed, would that help or no?
No, once there's 3 houses, it becomes a road, not a driveway, 3 houses.
Even,
Gotta be named.
even if it's okay,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, you can use family name, whatever, I mean, it doesn't matter about that, but as long as it's not already taken in 911.
But I,
Is that right?
It
But I don't
doesn't make it a public road.
okay, that's all right, that's what I wanted to know.
It's still your driveway,
Okay.
you know, it doesn't
But they
make it
have
a county
access.
road. It's your access road.
Right.
I've got a question on the driveway, specifically on the, slope requirement. Is that, does the county ordinance supersede any HOA guidelines or restrictions within a private community?
If the private community is already in existence, then no, it doesn't supersede it. This would affect new ones coming in.
Okay. So this would, it's not for all undeveloped lots, it's just for undeveloped lots that are not in a subdivision?
No, it's all land period, right? Anything moving forward permitted, correct?
If the, So, mountaintops, it's got lots in it that are already platted and roads are there. And this doesn't say you have to go and change those roads. But if you had another 50-acre, another 10-acre parcel, and you were dividing it out, then the roads that were put in would have to comply with this.
She's asking.
I'm saying driveway.
She's asking about driveway, but if you had a 15-acre tract of mountaintops, mountaintops is developed, that's grandfathered in, but then you would comply with the new rules. If you got more than 3 houses on that 15 acres, you gotta comply with the new rules.
If you're putting in a new driveway,
Yeah,
yes.
Any new driveway,
Any new
essentially.
driveway.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was asking about. So the slope of the driveway, let's say that I've got a lot at the Heights and it's undeveloped. And I decide to put a driveway in 2024. Is that gonna, do I need to meet these new guidelines on that driveway in 2024?
That's the hope.
Yeah. If it's voted on, yes, and passed, yes.
So my second question is this: if the roadway into the development already has the designation that it's too steep, possibly for emergency vehicles, are they gonna be grandfathered in on their driveways?
Yes, it's only anything.
Are you, Ginger, this one that's already there and that designation is there, we can't go back. We can't go backwards, we can only go forward.
They can't go back and change anything to existing, essentially, is what she's saying.
So
Only new driveways.
So the roadway into the development can be too steep, but the driveway still has to conform to the.
Based on when it's voted on.
That's the
Day 4, yeah.
objective.
Anyone else on the driveway? Yes,
I
sir.
understand what she's saying, so if going into the Heights, it's already too steep for a fire truck to get in, so what would it matter if the driveway is too steep for a fire truck? If it can't even get there anyway.
That was my.
Well, okay, so let's use the Heights. I'm not picking on them, but y'all brought it up. We know the roads are steep. So now I'm land property owner. What I do is I come and say to the, Development Commission, Property Commission, hey, this is where I am, this is my situation. What we're trying to do is make sure that people are making informed decisions. So, you hear it all the time in here. I'm this many feet from the street. I can't be this many feet plus because I fall off the bank. Well, I come in and I say, hey, I'm already over here. We already know you are not gonna get a fire truck to me and an ambulance is questionable. But I'm okay with that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm asking your permission to put this house with a driveway that goes like this. Well, if you come and you're willing to say that and you put it in writing, I can't speak for any variance because it's not come before, but they listen, you know. But the idea is that people going forward are making informed decisions. Whether or not it's a good decision, that's up to you and your pocketbook. But, you know, that's the objective.
This is a standard set of rules. Anything outside that, you can ask for variance.
What he said, very short and succinct.
Anyone else? All right, so we'll move to the E911 ordinance. Driveway ordinance and E911. Well,
It might be out of order.
that comes up next.
Yeah, okay, good.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on the E911 ordinance? Yes, ma'am.
ETC informed me that, my mailing address is Blue Ridge, but my 911 address is Epworth. Is that gonna change? Is that a big deal?
No, so what'll end up, it'll just go by your, like if you're 111 Lake Skillet Circle, something to that
Right.
effect, even though that might be Blue Ridge,
Right,
I mean, that's what it's gonna go by, is
The neighborhood.
111 Lake Skillet Circle in Epworth.
okay.
So, yeah,
Hey, is this a true statement or not? I'm telling people this, I hope, but if somebody calls and is in Cherry Lodge, I know some addresses are formerly Fannin County and Fannin County, but have Cherry Lodge address, do both 911 ones respond to that call?
No.
No?
They're routed to the correct county. They're routed by the phone number to the correct county.
So if something's in mailing address, or 911 is Cherry Lodge, it's in Fannin, who responds?
Fannin.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I was told that both respond and there was an
No,
extra.
they're routed through the phone company to the correct 911 center.
Oh, okay. Cell phone, everything, also, all phones?
Cell phones should go to the correct tower and route
Oh,
correctly
wow,
also.
okay. Wow.
Anyone else on the 911 ordinance? Okay, next one will be the dilapidated building ordinance. Is there anybody needing to, have anything on the dilapidated building ordinance? I don't think there was very minimal changes as far as that goes with it. Anyone on that? Okay. We'll move forward to the manufactured home ordinance. Does anyone have anything on the manufactured home ordinance? Once again, I think there were just minimal changes in that one, as well. Valid detail must be issued. Anyone on the manufactured home? Okay. Number 8, mobile home and recreational vehicle parks ordinance. Anybody have anything on that? Yes, sir.
Real quick, was it ever clearly defined the differentiation between recreational vehicle park, mobile home park, tiny home park, and which ones could be interchanged and mixed and?
Good thing was, Keith,
The,
anything to mind
oh,
on
I'm
that?
sorry,
Keith.
okay, recreational vehicle campers, these so-called, a lot of them they call them tiny homes. They're
Tiny home.
like a small mobile home, they're called park models. Those are all, can be tagged. They can be tagged, it's considered an RV.
I watched the video from the commissioners meeting the other night, and that was of somebody they were asking about, and there was a big thing. And I think the guy was right, there is a big misconception, but to me, I consider anything that has a tag as personal property, it's not real estate. It is registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles, that's personal property, it's not a real estate. Anything that's got a permanent foundation, whether it be a tiny home or whatever, if it's on a permanent foundation and it doesn't get a tag, it's real estate, correct? Legally, that's the way it is, correct?
That I don't know.
Leanne, isn't that correct?
Yes, but, manufactured homes, or what you and I used to call mobile homes,
Yeah,
have a tag.
right.
But they can be detitled and cease to, and as long as they have a
With
tag,
the
you're
permanent
right.
foundation, they can't be,
Yeah,
right?
but once if they have a tag, you're right, it's personal property.
Right.
Mobile homes fall into that too. But if you put them on a permanent foundation and they can be detitled, then they're no longer considered movable.
Right.
And they're no longer personal property, they're real property.
So isn't that the best way to define it then? If it's permanent, it's permanent. If it's not, it's personal property.
And the only thing that I do not know, Nathan, because I've never thought about it, I don't know if one of these park model homes can be detitled. I will have to check with the Department of Revenue because I don't know the answer to that
Gotcha.
question.
And I guess the other definition question would be, if somebody knows that if they detitle it and put a permanent foundation on it, then can they get by with doing a bunch of those, and doing a mobile home park, or does that need to be written in, I mean, that probably would need to be defined too.
Well, I think,
They're all
Keith,
defined.
wouldn't they, if they detitle them, that wouldn't change the square footage of them, and that would then,
Well, that's, the square footage will still be the same.
Yeah.
right, so that so it'd be either the RV or the tiny park or.
It would be defined what
I
classification
think,
it
I
would be.
think in order to detitle them, though, you have permanent foundation, you've got to remove the tires, wheels, axles, and the tongue.
Underneath, yeah.
Now, correct, technically, but, and I'm telling you, cause I've owned some, you know, you put some lattice and some siding and a few other things, you pull the lattice up, wheels are there, that thing is obviously not going anywhere. So I'm saying, moving ahead for the future,
That's not a permanent foundation, that's not considered a permanent foundation.
I understand that, but for clarity's sake, you could open a mobile home park and technically have a bunch of homes there that are never ever, it's not like the KOA where they have to move every 30 days.
Well, when he inspects it, he would know that if that's the case, though.
Well,
They have to provide a plan to
no, I
the land
understand.
development office before they start.
I was just wondering how much more clarity there is than there used to be on that. That's just it, you inspect it, the wheels are off,
Yeah,
it's on the ground.
we do 2 inspections on mobile homes anyway. And then we do a rough end, where we're checking the tie downs, plastic, the piers underneath it. Then also do a final, where we're checking the skirting and everything. Most of them now, if true mobile homes, yeah, the tongues are bolted on. They've removed the tongues. They've removed the axles.
Because the tiny homes now seem to be coming
These
more
park
permanent.
models, they're usually leaving all that in place.
A lot of them try to,
Yeah.
But do they actually move?
sometimes.
Sometimes, right.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I
I'm
think
just-
it's all based on permanent versus not permanent, I think is the way I
Yeah, okay.
define.
All right.
All right, anyone else on the mobile home? Okay, that brings us to number 9, which is the scrap tire ordinance. They may got room for some scrap tires they wanna hang on? Okay. Looking at the scrap tire ordinance, I don't think it changed.
Just
all
a
that.
technical,
Just some
it's a
verbiage.
Lynn question.
Okay. Anyone on the scrap tire ordinance? All right. Number 10 is the septic ordinance. Any questions, on the septic ordinance?
Is this all new in the septic, or is this just old, because there's no highlight?
If it's, if there's no highlights, it's gonna remain the same, I would say. So,
Is that correct?
This goes back to 1983, this ordinance was written, it's just updated to have our logo on it. We have not made any changes.
No changes, just the
but if you have any
logo.
suggestions, we'll be glad to hear.
No, no.
But there again, the septic ordinance pretty much goes along with what the state said. Don't have a whole lot of choice on it.
We have 0.
Except for the fact that the septic ordinance goes along with the renovation ordinance that tells you when you have to get updated to a certain, to current standard.
The update would only be if you're adding bedrooms. The number of bedrooms on the house has to match the number that the septic tank will hold.
Or the value of the structure goes over 50% of the.
We're not gonna make you redo your septic, I mean, as long as the number of bedrooms match.
What if it was never permitted for septic?
Then, yeah, you would probably have to.
Do a septic inspection and prove that, at least.
But that's a state requirement, that's not us.
And what was that address again?
Hey, while we're
I'm all
talking,
up to code, okay?
I'm just,
hey, while we're talking about septic stuff, I wanna, I can ask a question, make a suggestion. Is there still such thing as septic letters or anything that can be done through the county, or is that long gone? So I think, and I'm fine if the county charged for it, and I think the realtors would all be more than happy to pay for it. But so many times people come up and there's no really defined guarantee of whether or not somebody can build or not, and I know it's labor, but again, if everybody's willing to pay a couple $100s for the letter, but people would pay it no problem, to know that if the soil work had been done and the health department looks at it and tells, I guess I'm saying land development, hey, we would approve this for a 3-bedroom, if there was some sort of assurance or letter that went out that they could say, hey, based on your soils and based upon our inspection of it, you know, your property's approved for a conventional system for 3 bedrooms or whatever. I mean, we get asked this every single day, and it's kind of embarrassing not to tell people it's kind of vague, and we think you can, everything lines up, we think you're gonna be able to build in a few years, but we don't know for sure. I mean, if we had some sort of letter or something, again, if they paid for it per letter, I think everybody'd be happy to do it. Do y'all agree?
So that would be like Union County does a pre-approval.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But
That they can do during due diligence. And
Correct.
be comfortable with
Be
the
up to
terms.
the
That'd be up to the health
But that-
department and all
Start saying
land
Nathan.
development.
Well, but here's my thing is, I don't think the health department, I don't even know if they're staffed enough they could. I was wondering if they gave their clearance letter that came to the county, because a lot of times land development, I mean, the people don't understand, it's 2 different departments with the county, the health department and then land development. That way, they know they've inspected their part. Y'all are the final decision makers on the building permit. Y'all have already looked at the soil work from the health department, got the approval for them, and then,
Health department does their own soil approvals. They issue the septic permit, then they bring it to the building department to get a building permit. If they don't issue the septic permit, then they're not gonna get a building
but
permit.
if they brought, if they approved it over there and they gave y'all the clearance, then instead of them
If
having.
they would do that, but they're not gonna give you
Well,
any letters.
I mean,
Well,
Nathan,
that's my whole point of this is,
That's a state entity, not a county.
But Nathan, the way
I mean,
in my
it's tough.
knowledge, anyway, in my experience, the one they gave in Union County, those pre-approvals, they had a lot of caveats with it.
Well,
It
of course,
says-
yeah.
It says based on the number of bedrooms and what we're looking at on the
Right.
soil, but if you decide to put in a pool or you got a 30-foot concrete
Yeah,
patio.
well, there's always
or
those
But
level
we're
whatever,
gonna put
you
a
know.
state waters or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all
But
these.
so,
And that's all fine,
but
I
it's
think. I
a
think that's
level,
reasonable.
it's a level of comfort, cause it says, we have looked at the soils and we
Exactly.
have looked at the plot.
I agree.
you know.
It at least gives them something. Right now, you're just, they feel like it's just kind of guesswork out
And
there.
it's
and
gonna
it
be
makes
3
it-
months after they buy it before they can get it.
Or they have to go and apply for a permit,
Yeah.
one of the two, and then the permit's not transferable, you know, it makes it just tough.
The health department has changed, and now the buyer can do a permit, a purchaser's permit.
right,
Y'all
and-
have
Well, I didn't know that.
So they've changed it, so if you're a buyer, you can do a purchaser's permit.
Since
They
when?
did a couple months
Good.
ago.
So that's
So
a pretty.
it's good.
They used to do it all the time.
No, they did use it, it was great, but they stopped, I think they were understaffed maybe, and couldn't do it, but.
Yeah, Monica was saying they didn't have the people.
all right, can I ask, can I
Okay,
ask a
good.
question? I mean, cause you're the people that know. Because the health department's its own entity. It's the Fannin County Health Department, but it's its own entity. The only thing that the county could do would say that prior to, well, we already say you have to come over. I mean, can we make it any clearer that they've got to get that from the health department?
The
Because-
general public don't know there's 2 different entities though. I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent, they just don't.
And they don't
Yeah.
know the process.
Yeah. And you can outline, they're still probably not gonna know the reality. I'm just saying, I'm trying to think of one source of contact that we knew it, and well, only the approval at this point, and then they would know. I'm just trying to think of some way to.
Well, if y'all can come up with something, please suggest it, but I mean, it's kind of like, the health department has to issue what it has to issue, and the county cannot give a building permit until we get that from the health department, but the state says they're 2 separate entities.
Like, I've got a good example, for instance, right now, it's not Fannin County, luckily, it's Gilmer County, but it's in a citizen community down there, they permitted it for a shed as the outbuilding. Well, the shed is a guest house now. Buyers are purchasing it, land development says, well, we permitted the shed, but the health department, they had them to do an inspection of the septic, and because they gave them an approval, once they did the septic inspection, they thought it was approved by everybody. Well, land development says it wasn't approved by us, it was approved by the health department. And then they're like, well, that's the county, and so the people who own it and the buyers, they don't know the difference, so they don't, each department didn't know what the other one was doing, it makes it very confusing for people, you know?
I don't disagree, but it's totally above our pay grade here. John Chastain, can I give you his phone number?
All right, anything else on that? All right, that brings us to, number 11, which is the signs ordinance. Anybody have any issues or, anything on the sign ordinance? Okay. Number 12 would be the solid waste ordinance. Anything on the solid waste ordinance? Okay. Brings us to the last one, which is a speed limit ordinance and a speed zone ordinance. Anybody wants to go faster?
Not down Main Street.
Anything on the speed limit? All right. That being said, before we adjourn, again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today, to go over these ordinances with us. Great questions, suggestions, things like that. We have made notes. Obviously, between now and the next meeting that we have, if you have suggestions, solutions, questions, issues, or whatever, please feel free to call Johnny. He'll be glad to answer any questions. Call us anytime, all jokes aside, we'll do our best. That being said, I'll make a motion to adjourn and ask for a second.
I'll say.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. A little bit past 5:30, which is fine. We'll call this meeting to order. Commissioner Patterson, would you like to lead us in the invocation
I
for
sure
a regular
will.
meeting?
Everybody please stand for prayer. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we want to thank you again for bringing us to this moment that we can work to the betterment of Fannin County. Thank you for these citizens here, Lord. Help us all to work united to that goal, to help Fannin County be the best it can be. And Lord, we just want to thank you for your blessing on us, keeping us healthy and safe. And Lord, we want to ask your presence at this time in this meeting. Lord, as commissioners, we don't always know what's best, but we know that you do. And we ask your guidance and your wisdom, Lord, to be with us, Lord. Help us again to work together. And we just praise you for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Let's go in, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Make a seat.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff.
Okay, under unfinished business, we have the approval of the minutes from January 9th, regular scheduled board meeting. Commissioner Searcy, any errors or omissions in the minutes?
No, sir.
Commissioner Patterson?
I have none, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, nor do I, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve, those minutes and ask for a second.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. we have board discussion and action on lease agreement. This is, also on unfinished business. Lease agreement between Fannin County and the Fannin County Health Department. Gentlemen, this is, was something that, my apologies. I know Mr. Bradford's gonna try to be here tonight again, but, he's looked over this and everything seems to be fine. It's just, it's the same as we had with the last one, so, my apologies for not doing it last time, so, Commissioner Cersei, any?
No,
anything on this?
it looks fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Patrick?
I don't have any problem with it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. That being said, I'll make a motion, to approve this lease agreement between Fannin County and the Fannin County Health Department. I'll make that motion, ask for a second.
I say.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Okay, so under new business, we have a board discussion action on a variance request for Michael Miller to build a new home with garage 29 feet from the edge of Pine Cone Road. Gentlemen, there's their,
Mr. Miller here?
Mr. Miller is not here, that I can see. Is anyone here opposed to this variance request? Okay, so nobody coming up. Went out, took a look at it. Didn't see an issue with it being 29 feet from the edge of Pine Cone Road. Commissioner Cersei, anything?
No, sir, that's a big one,
It's a dandy.
how many square feet is that?
More than I can afford.
Yeah, no, it looked good, he's far enough by, you know, I have no problem.
Commissioner Patterson?
All the paperwork looked good.
Yes, sir.
And if the slope is all right, you looked at it, I have a problem with it.
Okay. That being said, I'll ask for a motion to approve this variance request.
I make a motion.
I'll ask for a second.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 5. We have the reappointment of Larry Chapman to the Fannin County Water Authority. Is Mr. Chapman here this evening? Good. Commissioner Patterson, any discussion on this?
We are, blessed to have Mr. Chapman. And, he's done just an excellent job for us. How long has he been with us? He's been 8 years?
Angie, no, he's been there a while.
What was I remember?
And he's so knowledgeable. He's so knowledgeable. So I have no objections whatsoever, with Larry continuing with us.
Okay.
No,
Mr. Cersei?
he's done a good job.
Okay. I don't have an issue either. I think he does a fine job, and like Mr. Commissioner Patrick said, he is very knowledgeable in that department. So, that being said, I'll make a motion to reappoint Larry Chapman to the Fannin County Water Authority, and this will be his term will be February of 24 through February of 27. I'll make that motion, ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So whether he wants it or not, he's been there.
We did him before he, thinks twice, huh?
Yeah.
Better show up for work.
Did him before he had a chance to think about it.
Parents sign this that way we get back out.
Don't let me try. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Gentleman number 6, this was board board discussion action with the Fannin County Family Connection Executive Director Sherry Morris. You guys may or may not know, Miss Morris is actually, under the weather and couldn't be here tonight. She had asked us, if we could table this till the next regular meeting. First of all, we hope Miss Morris, gets to feeling better, because, you know, she's had some sickness, she's had some, health issues, along the way, and, down the switch, you need a break. So, any discussion on this for tabling?
No, I'm okay with it.
All right, I'll make a motion that we table this until our next regular meeting and ask for a second.
I'll say.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, number 7, we have, board discussion action on the lease agreement between Fannin County and the Blue Ridge Mountain Arts Association. Do you have that, Ms. Walker, by you?
This is the old one, sir, and what I'm unsure of is what this was done when they first took over the Arts Association, when the Arts Association first took over the building. And it talks about all these repairs and upkeeps which they have done. So I am not, but this lease hasn't expired. So I'm not sure what it is we need to change.
As long as you care to come up and talk to us about it.
The reason, we're requesting to be renewed early is because we cannot go after any facility grants because we have a lease that's less than 5 years. So I have 2 facility grants, coming up, and if we can approve, the renewal of the lease now, I could possibly get them, and we can be redoing the ceiling and the, painting of the actual old courtroom, what we call the, Richard Low Evans gallery right now. There's plaster falling, there was water damage when, between the time that you replaced the old air conditioning and the new air conditioning, we had water back up in the gutters, and so all of these facility, repairs cost quite a bit of money. And it's not really in the commissioner's budget, your maintenance department budget, or mine, to get all of these finished. So if we can get the lease renewed early, a year early, I can go after the grants for, you know, these facility repairs that we want to continue.
It is the objective then is to simply extend the lease on basically its current terms. I mean, so much of this is obsolete because it's already been done, but if we're talking about just on its current terms, are you looking at, I don't know the requirements of your grant, so you're like 10 years, 15 years, what is the idea?
Well, we would like to, because in the grant it says that when it's up, we have the option for another additional 30-year lease.
Okay.
So we would like to just start that this year instead of next year.
Okay, so in essence, we could do, I'm thinking out loud, I'm talking out loud, we could do simply a renewal, activating the provision of the option to renew, and everything else stays the same. That's like a 2-page document, 3 at most, depending on how many lines I need for signatures. And if that's what y'all want to do, you can vote on it. I can have it to you this week, the first of next, and you can sign it. And then, because I'm sure you've got a time factor going here.
Yeah.
How long is that lease?
It's a 30-year lease, or this one may be a 25.
This was 20. It would be up in the end of 2024.
Well, see, we've been in this building.
But you still have a 30-year extension period. It's after 10 years, 30-year extension.
And how many years you got left
I'm understanding you correct,
Yes.
they've got 1 year left, but the problem is the grants that they're applying for, they're not gonna give them any money with only 1 year left on a lease.
I understand that. I just didn't know that, I just didn't know that that the county had a lease that long for something like that many years.
Well, when they took it over, it was a really bad condition.
I thought you was gonna come up here and ask for some reduction in rent money because of all the repairs.
No, we wanna keep repairing it, but
I
I
was
mean,
about to
it's
give you
just.
that.
Well, there are buyouts, what we would say buyouts in this clause. There-
So the county
in this
can,
as well.
we can, I mean,
So if you wanted to kick them out, yeah, you could,
I
but.
know, we'll give you that. As long as we got that, as long as we got
I
that.
hope not, believe
No, I
it.
mean, I do too, but I wanna make sure the county's okay,
Oh, yeah,
you know.
well, we still have to abide by maintaining the building and upkeeping, and doing a lot of
What do you
things.
think?
We have some major electrical work
Glenn,
that has to be done.
That building is unique,
Mhm.
and it's on the National Historic Register. I wish we were talking about this at the earlier meeting when we had all these building folks in here. One thing that's really unique about that building is that the gutters are on the inside of the building. Now, you tell me who in their right mind, I don't know how to build anything except with Lincoln Logs. How is that a good idea?
That's good engineering right there, yeah. But now, the only thing that I'm saying is this, that is county property. So is that giving us, I don't wanna see,
No, it still has to be used for a county art center.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that I don't wanna see the problem that we had with the steps like they was done. Can we, stuff like that,
It's
I'm not gonna be for
happen.
it.
We're not painting the inside of the building anything but white. That's the way.
I ain't worried about the inside, I'm worried about the outside.
No, well, anything that would be, we're trying to maintain the historic.
I'm just worried about the outside
It's
of
a
it.
historic building, and so
Yeah.
they have to preserve it.
Okay,
It's
that's
historic.
cool.
Yeah, and we would not be
Then I'm
painting
good.
it colors except for
I'm good with it, man.
the yellow
There's no
stripe and
problem.
the black stripe so
And
people can
except
see
for
where the
this little
steps are.
small blip,
Huh?
except for that little small blip, I can say in the years since this went into effect, the Art Center's been a great community
It sure has,
partner.
but,
And if
yeah.
somebody said early on, we got a lot of kids that go up here for rec. Now, we think about recreation with the rec center over at the park, but one lady said to me, she stood up in a meeting just like this, and she said, my children's recreation is not with balls. My children's recreation is not running. I have a daughter that dances, and at that point in time, she had a child that was doing the photography class. So, it provides a lot of recreational / educational benefits that is provided by the county through this conduit.
And I appreciate the job you do. I think you do a wonderful job.
Thank
But
you.
it's also my job to make sure that we protect our county properties too.
We understand, I mean, we just opened on Saturday
Mhm.
our biggest show. We have 440 pieces of art hanging for this one show. We had over 235 people come to the opening on
That's
Saturday
awesome.
night.
What about 10 degrees weather?
Yeah, and 10-degree weather, so, we're trying to get people in to see the arts, to support us, and.
And you've done a wonderful job.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
we think that.
So,
Yeah.
that's what we
Appreciate it.
want. We just want to be able to maintain the building. I have the historic preservation manual, and, we all have had a skylight in that building.
Mhm.
And so I'm trying to get my fundraising committee to start a capital campaign to possibly get that skylight put back. Because
Good.
that's something that,
That's right.
would be awesome. I mean,
That
there's nobody
building
else
holds a
who's
lot
got
of
a
memories,
skylight.
don't it?
I'm glad it can't talk.
Yeah,
To some extent,
there's quite a
it's-
few
yeah.
people that feel that way.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Commissioner Patterson, any discussion on
I
that?
have no problems.
Commissioner
I've
Sanders,
said my piece, I ain't gonna say nothing else.
giving you another option.
No, I'm done.
All right.
Sherry's looking at me.
Well, that being said, tell me if I'm wrong, they yes, I would make a motion to, honor the extension of this lease. I'll make a motion to honor the extension of this lease 1 year early, and ask for a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sound right?
And how many years is that for, 30?
It'd be 30.
A 30-year lease, and obviously, we both have a buyout
And
clause.
as they're saying,
in there,
there's
so
an
when I say buyout,
opportunity for either side to
can't-
opt out, to go through steps, but should that ever become
Okay.
necessary.
You
I'll
got
give
it.
that to you tomorrow.
Thank you. All right, so number 8 is the, board discussion action. It's a resolution of closing the bank account. And, gentlemen, I'll just go ahead and read this, I know everybody wants to talk, but I will. Whereas Fannin County, a political subdivision of the state of Georgia, acting by and through its duly elected board of commissioners, has determined it to be a requirement of the enabling statute and in the best interest of the county to close bank account with United Community Bank, said account being the 2017 SPLOST Recreation. Therefore be it resolved that the county execute and deliver to said bank a duly signed duplicate original of the within resolution for the purpose of closing said account for Fannin County. This resolution shall be effective as of the date of adoption and shall remain in effect until rescinded by resolution duly adopted by the Fannin County Political Subdivision of the state of Georgia and delivered to said bank. So gentlemen, basically what this is their SPLOST account from the previous SPLOST has been depleted, working on the new one. So this is a resolution to close that particular bank account and start working off the new one.
Okay.
So, and we will, obviously we'll have to do this
Yeah.
more than once as those other
As
accounts.
those other accounts close
Yeah.
out, yeah.
So any comments, anything,
No,
discussion?
sir.
Pretty clear.
All right, so I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution to dissolve that bank account and ask for a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that brings us up to public commentary. If anybody's got anything they'd like to say, come on up to the podium and tell us who you are and where in the county you live.
Go ahead.
Hello, I know you're probably tired of hearing from me. I just wanted to give y'all an update. I'm Holly Troxel. Troxel is with 1 L, though, just so y'all know. It's about the voter rolls that I have told you about before, the Fannin County voter rolls that we get from the Secretary of State's office. The last voter roll that we had obtained from the Secretary of State's office was dated December 5th, 2023. On that, we had 22,164 voters. We had 2,577 inactive voters. And then as we did a search on what the code says, 319 voters, we believe, should have been removed by the Secretary of State's office by no later than July, August timeframe of 2023. Well, myself and Mike and another person named Susan, we've been working on presenting challenges. By law, we're allowed to challenge ineligible voters, voters that should be removed and shouldn't be staying on the rolls, or people that moved out of the county. So we I just wanted to give you an update. In December, we challenged 23, and we successfully had 17 removed. The board had voted and removed them. January 8th, we challenged 34. We successfully had 27 removed. We are not going to challenge any because of the next couple of months, because the election's coming up and we don't want to overwork them. And a lot of this, unfortunately, puts a lot of extra work on Mary Ann. And it's sad that the Secretary of State's office should have already removed 319 voters. And I have sent a request to the Elections Board asking them to file a complaint with the Secretary of State's office and with the State Election Board, because the state does not seem to be removing the voters. And I asked them to double check my numbers, see if I'm inaccurate or wrong, because I want to make sure I'm accurate. But this is a waste of, quite frankly, county time, our time, that if the state's supposed to be removing people, they should have removed them in a timely manner like it is states in the Georgia Code. So I am going to send each of y'all a letter that kind of just gives you the, during this week, sometime this week, that gives you a layout of the challenges and the same thing that I just pretty much recapped today, just so y'all have that. But we are successfully getting the voter rolls cleaned up. It's taken some time because we don't have a lot of people doing it, but it is happening. And another thing that I want y'all to be aware of too is that our jury pool selection comes from the voter rolls, and they are a mess. They're terrible. Go ask Dana Chastain, ask her what issues that they have. So this is something that we need to work on. I'm all for decentralizing the voter rolls. I would like to see them locally, but that's just to recap what we've been doing and the progress we've made so far.
So you're pretty good, you're pretty happy with cleaning this up, like, is it Mary Ann and everybody happy with all this?
Yes, they actually are. I mean, it's putting a lot of extra work on Mary Ann, and we actually told them today at the hearing that it was a challenge hearing today, and we said we're not going to challenge anybody for February, March, because the election's coming up. It was a lot of work on Mary Ann, a lot more. And it does take a little more time for the board, because then they have to come and they have to set a hearing date. It's called a hearing date, but we go before the board. We have to present the evidence that we've pulled together. And this isn't just a few, we're literally spending hours, hours, ask my husband.
So how many do you think they are?
Well, there's, like she said, there's 319 that would come, that the
should have already
Secretary of State
been
should have
removed.
already taken off. Then you got the National Change of Address form or list.
I think there was over 800 of just those alone. In other words, where somebody has put in an address change, it's called, there's a national change of address that shows that they put that in. And I think we did a sort on it, and there's over 800 of those alone. There's some things I'm going to ask Johnny Chastain and others in the legislature about, because I believe the code talks about the intent. If their intent is to remove the residents outside of the county, to me, if you sign a card that you're moving your address and you're signing it that is permanent, that is intent. That would be my thoughts. So there are.
They don't affect military personnel.
No, sir.
No.
Military,
This
you
is
can.
people that have just moved away.
Right, military you can choose, because we're a military family, you can choose it's temporary. You can choose temporary or permanent on your address change, and whether it's individual or whether it's a family. So like if you have a child that's going off to college, they could do individual, and
But they still get to
temporary.
vote.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
As long as they're in school.
So I'll just throw out something real quick too. In 2012, we were registered to vote in Cobb County. And I just out of the blue the other day thought, I want to go check and see, because everybody's talking about, you need to check your voter history. And I went online and checked on the Secretary of State's office. It said in 2012 that we voted in person at the precinct in Cobb County. We were not here. We were in Japan for the military, both my husband and I. So.
Man, you have a fast plane,
That's
man.
quick.
I told her she was able.
So I just wanted to let you know that that's some of the things that.
So let me ask you one
Yes,
other
sir.
question, if you don't mind. How long have you been doing this?
We started on it a while back, but then other things got in the way and it kind of fizzled out. So we started on this probably November of last year, really hard and heavy. We started,
I mean,
Oh, yeah, we worked on Gwinnett County for a while, but Fannin County, we've probably been really putting our focus on it since probably November of last year.
registration of voters, has it went up a lot?
I believe so. I think I wanna say, from the last list that I got to this one, I think there was an additional 100 and something voters.
Girls is young, you have things, it's going up. Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Are you gonna start back after the election?
We are. We're gonna continue to work but we're just not gonna submit any of the challenges because like I said, it puts a lot of time and heart and extra work on Mary Ann and we just don't wanna do that near election time, so.
But you cleaned up, out of 319, you had over 100, didn't you, 150 or so?
Not
That adds up.
quite, we had 17 and 27, so we had about, 44.
Okay, that's good. Every little bit helps.
If we can get the Secretary of State to do what they're supposed to do, there'll be 300 plus come off without us having to do this anymore.
Yes.
We'll still continue to do it, but these just all, they should have been gone a long time ago. Those people just been moved off, and never looked back.
Dating back to 2012. Yes.
Well, thank y'all.
We appreciate your efforts.
Anyone else? Anyone? All right, we'll close public commentary. Gentlemen, do we need executive session?
I do not.
I don't reckon.
How's it gonna leave?
I'm sure you.
All right, that being said, I'll make a motion to adjourn and ask for a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.